Welcome to The Mind, a podcast series by the Ramakrishna Vedanta Centre, New Zealand. A conversation at the meeting point of modern science and the contemplative traditions of yoga and Vedanta. I'm Rama, your host. We begin a new module today, the third, and the ground shifts a little under our feet. In the first module, the group asked what the mind rests on. In the second, they mapped its four working parts. Now they turn to the most intricate question of all. How is an experience actually built, moment by moment? It's a more delicate, more technical stretch of the path, so Swamiji reaches for the language of waves, ripples on water, a struck chord, a tuned string. And the room has a new face in it. A doctor has joined, drawn by the patients he cannot always reach with medicine alone. Vṛtti, the waves of the mind. Let's join them. The same room, a fresh season. There's an extra chair and a newcomer in it, a man in his 50s with kind, tired eyes, a doctor's stillness about him. Tea is poured. There's a small air of beginning again.
Before we start, we have someone new. Welcome. Will you tell the others who you are and what brings you?
Thank you. I'm a GP. Most days, my consulting room fills with anxiety, stress, low mood, people who can't focus, children and adults both. I can prescribe, I can refer, and often it helps. But just as often, I feel I'm reaching only the surface of something. I started meditating last year, almost by accident, and it has quietly changed how I sit with a patient. So I came to learn from this older science of the mind to be a better doctor. I should say plainly, I'm not here to swap medicine for anything. I'm here to let the two traditions teach each other.
Then you're exactly where you should be, and you bring something this group needs. The question, does this actually help a real person who is suffering? Hold us to it. Sarah, James, Kai, you've been at this a while now. Say a quick word to welcome our doctor and tell him where we've reached.
Welcome. I'm Sarah, 2 teenagers. I came in drowning a bit in my own reactions. The short version of what I've learned. I'm not the same thing as my feelings. There's a me that can watch them.
James, I teach. For me, it's been learning that the mind is really several different workers and that I can tell which one is acting up.
Kai, I'm the skeptic. I came expecting incense and got, honestly, something closer to engineering. Last time we ended on this strange, good question of who is watching the whole thing. I sat with it, didn't solve it, but it gave me a bit of room.
That room is exactly where Module 3 begins. We've established that there's an awareness in which everything appears, and we've mapped the 4 workers that do the appearing: manas, buddhi, ahankara, chitta. Now we ask the deepest question yet. The things that appear, the thoughts, the feelings, the perceptions, what are they actually made of? And how are they built? And here the most useful language turns out to be the language of waves. Dr. Watson, let me start with you since you sit with suffering all day. When a patient says, "I am anxious," what do they usually mean by am?
They mean it as a state of being, as if anxiety were a fact about them, like their height. I am an anxious person. It's fixed in their telling. That fixedness is half of what I'm fighting.
That's the heart of today, because in this older science, anxiety is not a fact you are, it's a wave you're having. The tradition has a word, vṛtti, from a root meaning to turn or to whirl. A vṛtti is a wave formation, a ripple that rises in the mind, holds for a while and subsides. And here's the radical claim. Everything in your experience is a vṛtti, not just anxiety, every thought, every perception, every memory, every mood. Sarah, when you see a tree, you feel you're seeing a solid thing out there. But what you actually experience is a wave your mind has formed that you call tree.
So even the tree is a ripple in me.
The tree as you experience it, yes. And music is a wave. and loneliness is a wave, and a daydream is a wave, with nothing outside it at all. Even dreamless sleep, the tradition says, is a particular quiet wave. There is nothing in your experience that is not some wave, rising and falling.
Okay, but everything's a wave sounds like the kind of thing that sounds deep and means nothing. What does it actually buy you?
A fair challenge, Kai. And the answer is the most practical thing in this lesson. A fact about you cannot change. It just is. But a wave rises and falls. It has a size, it has a rhythm, and it passes. The moment I am anxious becomes, anxiety is a wave I'm having right now. Something has already loosened. It's no longer the whole sky. It's weather. The same weather and sky we met last module, now looked at more closely. Dr. Watson, you'll see why this matters in a clinic.
Immediately. The patient who says, "I am depressed," has nowhere to stand. The one who can say, "A wave of heaviness is moving through me, and it has moved before and passed," has a foothold. It's the difference between drowning and noticing you're in water.
Beautifully put. And there's an old image for this that holds the whole lesson. Swami Vivekananda said, "Picture a lake. The bottom of the lake is your own deepest self. The water is the mind. And the waves on the surface are the vṛttis. When the surface is whipped into ripples, you can't see the bottom at all. You're tossed about by the waves. You think the waves are all there is. But the bottom was never disturbed. It was always there, clear and still, simply hidden by the movement."
So stilling the mind isn't about forcing the waves flat. It's letting the water settle so the bottom shows through.
Exactly, James. And that single correction saves people years of struggle. You don't beat the lake calm. The wind drops and it settles on its own. That settling, Patanjali's whole definition of yoga is just that, the settling of the waves of the mind, so that what was always there can be seen.
Here's where the engineer in me wants to push. If my mind is all these waves and they're full of anxiety and rubbish, then isn't the me underneath also kind of stained by them?
A sharp and important question, Kai. Look closely at a real wave on water. When a ripple rises and falls, does it leave a scar? Is the water afterward a different water?
No, it's the same water. The wave was just the water, moving.
Just so. The wave is not a foreign thing on the water. It is the water, taking a shape for a moment. And when it subsides, there's no residue, no stain, nothing left over. Your vṛttis are the same. A wave of anger, a wave of grief, is not a substance that dirties you. It is awareness itself taking a shape and then releasing it. The deepest self is not behind the waves, defending itself from them. It is the very water the waves are made of, and it is never, not for one instant, harmed by them. That is a quietly enormous thing to know when you're in the middle of a storm. Now I want to show you something about waves that will reshape the whole module. Kai, you have music on your phone. Play a single chord in your mind, 3 notes pressed together on a piano. How do you experience it?
As one sound, one rich blob of sound. I don't hear 3 separate things, I hear a chord.
That's one true way to experience it, as a single thing, unfolding in time, here and then gone. But a musician, or a tuning app, would tell you that one sound is exactly 3 notes sounding at once, 3 particular pitches blended. Both descriptions are completely true. Nothing is left out of either. You can hear the chord as one flowing sound, or you can see it as its set of pure frequencies, all present together.
So the same thing has 2 complete descriptions. One in time, as it flows, one as a timeless set of ingredients.
Precisely, Doctor. And that is the key that unlocks Module 3. Hold it gently because it applies to the mind itself. The way you normally live, thought following thought, this moment, then the next, a story unfolding, that is the flowing way. The experience as it moves through time. But underneath every flowing experience, there is also a timeless pattern, a set of ingredients that the flow is made of. And the deepest self that the traditions point to, beyond space, beyond time, is described from that second side. Not somewhere in the stream of moments, but whole, all at once, timeless.
I think I follow it with the chord. The melody plays in time, one note after another. But the chord, the ingredients, those are just true together, not in a sequence.
That's it exactly, Sarah. And here's the quiet promise hidden in it. If your everyday mind is the melody, moment chasing moment, there is also a way of knowing that here's the whole chord at once, timeless and unhurried. Most of us live only in the melody and never suspect the chord is there. The whole of this module is learning to sense both.
Is there a reason the ingredients of a wave are frequency specifically? That feels like a leap.
A good ear, James. And here Vivekananda says something startling that we'll come back to in a later lesson. He says the whole universe is one ocean of energy, and that mind and matter differ only in their rate of vibration. The slow, dense vibrations we call matter, a rock, a body. The faster, subtler ones we call mind, a thought, a feeling. Same ocean, different speeds. So when we speak of a wave's frequency, its rate of vibration, we're touching the one dial that, turned far enough, slides all the way from solid matter to the subtlest thought. For now, just hold the simple fact. Every experience can be met two ways, as a flow in time and as a whole pattern out of time, and they lose nothing to each other.
I'll be honest, that's the first timeless self line that hasn't made me wince, because I can actually check it with a chord.
Then check it. That's exactly the spirit. We never ask you to believe, we ask you to listen.
May I make this concrete? If everything is a wave, I want to know what describes one. When two patients are both anxious, they are clearly not anxious in the same way. One is buzzing and can't sit still, another is frozen and grey. What's different in your language?
That is exactly the right question, Doctor, and it takes us to the heart of the engineering Kai keeps hoping for. Any wave, in water or in the mind, can be described by three simple dials. Once you can read the three dials, you can read a state of mind. The first dial is size, how big the wave is, how vivid and intense. A roaring, all-consuming thought is a big wave. A faint background flicker is a small one.
So the same worry can be turned up loud or down quiet, even if it's the same worry.
Just so, Sarah. And you already met this dial last module as the volume knob. The second dial is speed, how fast the wave oscillates. A racing, fluttering mind is running fast waves. A slow, heavy, drowsy mind is running slow ones. Dr. Watson, your two patients.
The buzzing one is all fast, high waves, racing and large. The frozen grey one is slow and flat, low and slow. Same word, anxious or depressed, completely different settings.
And that difference, invisible in the word, is plain the moment you read the dials. Now the third dial is the subtle one, and the most interesting. Alignment. Are all your waves pulling the same way, or fighting each other? When your thoughts, your feelings, your body and your intentions are all in step, pointing the same direction, you feel clear, whole, powerful, even when the task is hard. The tradition calls that aligned state sattva. When they're scattered, part of you wanting one thing, part dreading it, part somewhere else entirely, the waves cancel and jam, and you feel torn and weak. That scattered churn is vṛttis. And when there's no clear pattern at all, just a dull flatness, that's tamas.
That maps exactly onto my classroom and onto me. A good lesson is when the kids and I are all aligned, all the waves pulling together. A bad one is everyone scattered, including my own attention.
That is the third dial, James, alignment, and it's the one most worth learning to turn. So, size, speed, alignment. How big, how fast, how aligned. 3 dials, and they describe any wave of the mind.
Fine, but dials don't turn themselves. Who or what is turning them?
The most beautiful part, Kai, because you already know the answer. It's the 4 workers from last module. Manas, attention, mostly sets the size. What you attend to swells into a big wave. What you ignore stays small. Your mind's overall state, calm or agitated, sets the speed. Buddhi and ahankara together govern the alignment. When your discernment is clear and your sense of self isn't grabbing and defending, the waves fall into step. And chitta, memory, holds a wave going over time, feeding the ones it recognizes. So a vṛtti isn't made by one worker. It's the whole inner instrument, shaping a wave together, with these 3 dials as the result.
Then this is genuinely a diagnostic language. Not just you have anxiety, but right now your waves are large, fast and scattered, and here is which dial we might gently turn first. And crucially, dials can be turned. A fact can't. A dial can.
That sentence, Doctor, is the whole hope of this module. Everything that follows, all the practices, is learning to turn these 3 dials, to let an over-large wave soften, an over-fast mind slow, a scattered mind come into alignment. You are not fixing a broken person. You are learning the controls of an instrument.
If everything is a wave, can you tell them apart by kind, not just by the dials? In a classroom, I'd want to know what sort of thing I'm dealing with.
You can, James, and the tradition sorts every possible vṛtti into just 5 kinds. Knowing them is not a filing exercise. It's a way to catch what your mind is actually doing. First, clear, accurate knowing. You see the cup on the table and there is a cup on the table. The wave matches what's real. Second, misperception. The rope on the path you take for a snake and your heart pounds. A vivid, convincing wave that simply doesn't match what's there. Third, imagination. A wave with nothing outside it. A daydream. A worry about a thing that hasn't happened. A plan. A poem. Fourth, sleep. The quiet wave when there's no clear content. And fifth, memory. The wave that revives an impression from the past.
The second and third are most of my work, if I'm honest. The misperception that feels like fact. Everyone in that meeting was judging me. And the imagined catastrophe that triggers a real, racing heart even though nothing has happened.
And notice the cruelty of it, Doctor. A misperception feels exactly as real as accurate knowing while it's happening. The wave doesn't announce, "I'm false." The pounding heart at the rope is identical to the pounding heart at a real snake. That's why people can't just think their way out. The wave is convincing from the inside.
And memory? Surely memory is just playback, accurate.
That's the common assumption, Sarah, and it isn't so. Each time you remember, you don't press play on a recording, you build a fresh wave, colored by today's mood. Recall the same childhood afternoon when you're happy and when you're low, and you'll furnish the very same room differently. Memory is a kind of present tense painting, using pigments from the past. which is hopeful. A painful memory is not a fixed film. It is repainted each time it's recalled, and it can be repainted more gently.
And imagination, the third one, isn't only worry then.
Far from it, James. The very same faculty that builds a 2 a.m. catastrophe also writes the poem, designs the lesson, imagines the kinder future. Imagination is pure creative power. It simply has no object outside it. The worry and the masterpiece are the same kind of wave, turned to different ends. That's worth telling a class.
So what breaks the grip of the bad ones?
Recognition. Not arguing with the wave, but naming its kind. Ah, this is imagination, a worry wave, not a fact. This is misperception. My mind has filled in a story. The instant you can name the kind of wave, you're no longer fully inside it. You're the one noticing it. That little step out is the beginning of freedom. Kai, you felt it last module with the inner critic.
Yeah, this is weather, not a verdict. Same move. Now this is a worry wave, not the truth.
The same move sharpened, and now you can add the dials. A worry wave, large and fast, and I can let it soften. And here, Dr. Watson, is the reframe I'd most want in your consulting room. When a patient is suffering, the old question is, what is wrong with me? The wave question is gentler and truer. What wave is here right now? Which kind is it? How big and how fast? And is it accurate? Suffering doesn't vanish at that question, but it stops being a life sentence and becomes a pattern, and patterns can change.
That is genuinely a different medicine. Not fix the broken person, but read the wave, name it, and know it will move. I can use that on Monday.
Then the lesson has done its first work. Everything you experience is a wave. Every wave can be met as a flow or as a whole. Every wave runs on 3 dials you can learn to turn. And every wave is one of 5 kinds you can learn to recognize. That recognition is where the freedom starts. This week, 1 small practice, and now there are 4 of you to tailor it to. When a strong feeling or thought arrives, pause and ask 3 quick things. What kind of wave is this? Clear knowing, misperception, imagination, or memory? How big and how fast is it? And is it pulling with me or scattering me? You're not fixing anything. You're learning to read the wave as a wave. Sarah, when worry about your children rises, name it before you act. This is an imagination wave about a future that hasn't happened, large and fast. Just naming the kind and the size, and notice whether the wave loses a little of its grip.
Name the wave and read its dials before I act. That alone would change some evenings.
James, in class, when "they're all bored of me" arrives, catch it. Misperception wave, vivid, but I haven't checked it. Then actually look for the evidence. And notice the days the whole room is aligned versus scattered. That 3rd dial will teach you more than any technique.
Treat the thought as a wave to be checked and watch the alignment of the room. Good.
Kai, you're scrolling. Notice the wave that pulls your hand to the phone and the duller, flatter wave after. Name them: craving wave, fast; flat wave, slow, and watch them rise and fall without obeying them.
Name it, don't obey it. I can try that.
And Dr. Watson, 2 things since you carry this into a clinic. For yourself, once a day, read your own waves between patients. Tired wave, slow; frustration wave, fast and scattered. So the reading becomes second nature before you teach it. and with one willing patient, gently offer the reframe, not what's wrong with you, but let's notice the wave that's here, what kind it is, and that it has come and gone before. Tell us next time what happened, in you and in them.
Read my own waves first, then offer it to one patient. Yes, I'll come back with what I find.
Then we've begun. Next time, we look closely at how a single wave is actually built, because a perception, it turns out, is two waves meeting, the world's and your own.
And that's our doorway into Module 3, and a warm welcome to Dr. Watson, who joins us asking the question that keeps all of this honest. Does it help the person who is suffering? Today's heart is simple and freeing. Everything you experience, every thought, mood, and perception is a wave that rises and passes, not a fixed fact about who you are. Each wave runs on 3 dials: how big, how fast, how aligned, turned by the 4 workers we met last time. And each is one of 5 kinds you can learn to name. Read the wave, name it, and it loosens. That is where the work begins. Next time, how 2 waves, the world's and your own, meet to build the thing we call perception. And to go deeper, the full Lesson 3.1 is available in the course Beginners, Conversations on the Mind in the Light of Modern and Spiritual Sciences on the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center's website, www.vedanta.nz. It is also available as an app on Google Play and the Apple App Store by searching for Vedanta NZ. Until then, be gentle with your mind.